call to order this meeting of the Newberry Township zoning hearing board. Will you please rise for the pledge of allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're meeting tonight to hear docket 20-07. Robert Harkins, Jr. of 2100 Potts Hill Road, Edders, PA. Applicant is seeking a special exception from section 302.22E, rural occupations, section 525.54, to be able to park construction vehicles on the property and repairs needed within an enclosed building. Requirements of the Newberry Township zoning ordinance. The property is in the rural resource zone at 2100 Potts Hill Road, Edders, Pennsylvania, 17319. Tax map PG parcel 183. Mr. Martz, please stand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Was this posted?
It was advertised on October 12th to 19th, as well as the township website. Posted. The property was also posted, as well as surrounding neighbors.
Same dates were posted? And the notices to the neighbors were the same dates, right?
The neighbors would have been sent out on October the 5th.
Do you have any additional information to report?
I would like to let the board know that one of the witnesses here this evening had made contact with a board member prior to this hearing date. No conversation.
Thank you. Anyone here to give testimony for or against the proposed ballots this morning? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Could you please go to the podium and state your name and residence?
My name is Robert Harkins. I live at 2100 Potts Hill Road, Edders.
And are you the owner of the property?
Yes,
Is the property your primary residence?
yes.
And when did you acquire the property?
It's been about 3 years. We finished our house and moved in October of last year. Excuse me, I just see my wife showed up. Can she come in?
Sure. Is she going to give testimony?
Probably not, but
Okay, just if she's going to, we have to swear.
okay.
When did you say you acquired the property?
I don't know, it's been about 3 years that we owned it. It was 12 acres with a double wide on part of it, and we subdivided it off and put that on its own lot and created the 10-acre building lot for ourselves.
When was the subdivision?
2 years ago, I'm guessing. It's been about 2 years.
That's the property that's the subject
Yes, the 10 acre that's subdivided, yes.
So the lot in question is 2100 Potts Hill Road. If we're on Potts Hill, looking up at the property,
You can't see anything but the roof of my house.
there's an access road.
There's an access road, yeah, yeah.
But say if we were on Potts Hill, looking in the direction of the property, can you describe what would be to the north of the property?
To the north of it would be, when you say, I mean, there is a neighbor on the north side,
Okay. So
and all the property owners, probably most of the people out here are on that north side.
You're surrounded by residences?
Yes.
That's up to the northwest.
North, south, and west, I believe, is Trailer Park. East is that new warehouse, and there's some neighbors on that side of the road also. The 10 acres is where our house sits and where my pole building in question is totally surrounded by trees. You can't see, you can see one neighbor from our property when the trees are bare in the winter. The rest of the neighbors, you'd have to walk to the property line, and you could, if you search, you can find their houses.
So to the east, it looks like it's the parcel where the trailers sit. Is that correct?
The parcel where the,
Where there used to be a trailer there. and there's
Yeah.
trailers there now.
yeah, that's the, yeah,
And then to the south would be a residence. it looks like.
yes.
And then to the west is the, I don't remember the name of the trailer park now. It used to be
It's Miller's. Yeah, it's still Miller's? Yeah, yes. Sorry, the directions are a little confusing to me.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the map. though,
Okay.
to get everything on there. So it looks like your lot's completely surrounded by other residences,
Yes, yeah.
except for the access road coming off the Potts Hill. Even that looks like it's surrounded by residences.
Yeah.
So basically, if you wanted to draw a picture of what the neighborhood is, it sounds like it's a residential neighborhood.
Yes, it's a residential neighborhood. Yeah.
So the lot in question, is that, public or private water?
Private. Private water, private sewer, yes.
Sewer or septic?
Septic, sorry. Excuse me, I don't know, is the trailer park, is that zone residential? I don't know. If that's the same, if that's, has its own designation or not.
Mobile home park.
The building you would utilize for the business, is that already on the property? Or is it?
Yes, it was on the property when I bought it, actually.
Oh, okay.
What kind of structures do you have presently erected on the property?
We have about a 3,000 square foot home and the 3,200 square foot pole building. And there's one 10 by 20 shed.
It's about 3,000.
Yes.
What are the dimensions?
36 by 54, 2 stories. Plus a 26 by 30 garage outside of that dimension. 10-foot by 54-foot porch outside of that dimension.
Garage is attached.
Yes.
The building that was pre-existing, was that utilized for something before you bought the property?
When we bought it, it was stored. There was a bunch of stuff stored, and it looked like the guy was a yard sale person. He just bought stuff, and it was just crammed full of, I don't know. He had, well, he did have a skid loader there and a tractor, like, on the property that he used on the property regularly, so that was in there also.
Was the gravel drive surrounding the pole building, is that already in place?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of weeds growing up through it. I mean, I cleaned a lot of weeds and debris out, but it was, I'm not saying I didn't make it a little bigger, but for the most part, it was all there, yeah.
And it looks like there's a fence.
I added that fence recently because of the one neighbor that will be in here later. He's the cause of why I'm doing this, or requesting this, to try to appease his concerns. It unfortunately didn't make a difference. That fence runs the entire length of his property.
Which property?
His name's Gary Morrow. I don't know if that's on, are all the names on that? Or Gary, not Gary Morrow, Gary Castle.
So the fence is just along his property.
Yes, it runs from pin to pin on his property line.
What kind of construction equipment or repair?
I have a small construction company. I have 3 employees, 6 trucks, 2 pickups, 2 dump trucks, and 2 vans. I have a couple pieces of equipment, excavator, backhoe, skid loader. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought someone else was. Oh, you're okay.
3 employees, right?
Okay, 3 employees.
All right, 6 dump trucks.
No, well, 6 vehicles, 2 dump trucks,
2 dump trucks, okay.
2 pickup trucks, and 2 vans.
Got it.
I'd also like to add that I have a commercial lot at 1040 Old Trail Road, that this equipment and this stuff is all stored on that lot. The only reason it's even at my property now is I just finished a swimming pool. I'm doing landscaping currently. I just built the house, so as I need equipment or my van or my tools, all my tools, I don't have a hammer or anything at my house. It's all on my tool truck. So if I need to work on my house, I need to bring my van home or my dump truck home or my skid loader home. And when I do that, I have employees meet me in the morning, pick it up so we can go to the job. Now, this past winter, we have done repairs, but I haven't had, it's not been there for commercial use since winter. Like, we did change oil and do some service work over the last winter. But since then, the only reason it is at my property is if I need it to grade my yard or put another flower bed in, or I dug a swimming pool. So that's why the equipment is there. And the only reason I'm requesting this is so I can have it there and not be tormented by this guy every day. Like, I have this commercial lot I've had for 5 years. I have no intention of selling it. I have no intention of moving all my stuff up there. I mean, she doesn't want it up there, and she would never let me bring it up, all that stuff up there. It's just so I can have it up there without having to worry about. I mean, he's complaining about noise and being able to see my stuff from his property. If you look at the picture where the fence is, you can clearly see like vegetated area that has been cleared out of his property. That he cut all the vegetation down right in front of my garage door, so he could put a trail cam up and take pictures of me going in and out. So if he's that concerned about being able to see it, he should have not cut all the thick, heavy foliage down, and he wouldn't be able to see it at all. None whatsoever. None whatsoever. No. Correct, but I have a 40 by 80 building with a lift in it, and if I need to change oil or, like, makes no sense for me not to be able to use that building.
So that pre-existing building already had a lift?
No, I added that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So as far as, what hours do you plan on, like, I can think of what hours you would possibly want a vehicle, what day?
We would only like 7 to 4:30. And I have 2 garage doors. I have one that faces his property and one on the opposite side of the building. We've been trying to use the back garage door as much as possible so we're not at that end of the building. Like, I've been trying to, reluctantly, as much as I hate to have to not be able to use my own property freely, I've been trying to appease him and use the back door as much as possible so there's less action going on at that end of the building. But it basically 7 to 4:30.
That would be, what days of the week?
Monday through Friday, or maybe a Saturday, but that, yeah, I mean, it varies. Like, I don't have a set schedule. Like, we're not gonna be there every day doing anything. You just never know. If it's raining one day, we'll take that day to work in the shop, maybe, fix a truck or clean a van out or, but like, I have no intention of, we're not there every day. I mean, we're rarely ever there. When we are there, we leave in the morning and I come home myself at night.
The cleaning, fixing, repairing, changing oils, that's all on your own vehicles. You're not gonna be doing that for anybody else, right?
No, just my vehicles, correct, yeah.
For your business.
Yes.
You have a contracting business, is that commercial or residential contracting?
Primarily residential. I mean, we may do some commercial, but primarily residential construction.
There's no other rural occupations on this property, is there?
No.
Okay, Mr. Martz is directly, you know that one, not that I'm aware of. Okay. The building that you're gonna be doing the work in, the whole building, is that completely enclosed?
Yes.
That's 40 by 80, I believe?
Yes.
in the application?
Yes.
How tall is it?
It has 12-foot ceilings.
So it doesn't exceed 20 feet in height?
No, it's with the roof. It's probably 17 feet. No, 18 or 19 feet with the roof.
Jeff, would you agree with that? We don't exceed 20 feet, but I didn't know if that's the same.
Correct. Correct.
How far is the building set back from your property, from the side of your property?
Well, from the rear, it's several hundred feet. From the north property line, which adjoins where the fence is there. I never measured, but I stretched a 50-foot cord out to charge a battery, and it didn't reach the property line, so it's probably 65 to 70 feet from the building to that fence, which is right on the property line. And the other way, it's several hundred feet on the other end of the building to the property line.
Who's the one that's sold to the property?
Yes,
Right, who's actually, that's the way,
correct.
what's the dock structures? We've got a house, we've got a shed, porch, we've got a full building, which is 80, that's 3,200 square feet. Are there any other structures on the property that have?
Is the swimming pool kind of the structure?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yes.
What is it?
18 by 36. Yeah, actually, yeah, there's a 6 by 12 pool house. Just over 10, yeah, just maybe 0.1 or something like that.
Jeff, do we have any problems with lot coverage on this property? Maybe not exceed 20%. If you're parking your vehicles on your property, where would they be parked if you're not moving?
Some of the pickups will be parked along that fence. I cleared out an area on the backside that I could park dump truck at.
Is it screened from being drained out?
Everything is entirely, like, if you're counting natural foliage as screening, yes.
But the ordinance requires that all off-street parking has to be screened from properties. So, would that be accomplished?
I mean, does acres of woods count or not? I don't.
As long as it's screened, is it screened? There is natural buffer around it.
You literally can't see anything from, if you walk anywhere around that building, you can't see a house. The one neighbor that's you'll meet here, yeah, yes. Which his house, in the winter when there's absolutely no leaves, if you look real hard, you can see the roof of the house. If you really look for it. Other than that, I've never seen a light from his house. It's that thick through there.
In the packet that you gave us, there's a picture of 2 cars parked by the fence. Is
Yes.
that where you would anticipate parking the vehicles?
That's where I park like pickup if the trucks, the dump truck I usually park on the backside of the property. And I've removed the backup alarms from the dump trucks already. The only thing that has backup alarms are the equipment. And I haven't taken that off because I have a 3-year-old grandson and I'm up there working and I'm not gonna take those backup alarms off and take a chance of hurting him. Any of the equipment I didn't, I mean, legally, I can't work on a job without backup alarms, so I can't, yeah,
So it's just the vehicle.
correct.
Is there any other outdoor storage whatsoever on property where we're going to be
No.
how many vehicle trips are going to be
Most days, one in and one out. I mean, some days I go in and out 3 or 4 times if I need something out of my shop. but I'd say 95% of the time it's one in the morning and one back at night.
Say trip, that's just for one vehicle.
Or possibly two sometimes. I'm not gonna, I mean, maybe three on a rare occasion. But it's not a convoy going in and out every day. It's very sporadic.
The ordinance requires a maximum of 20 vehicles per day.
I don't think I've ever reached
So if we
that.
have
3 vehicles would
two
be,
vehicles
yeah.
going in and out every day, that's 4 trips.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever reached that.
Plus your personal vehicles.
That counts also?
You and your wife have cars,
Yeah.
so
That's-
2 more trips per day there.
So I can only go in and out of my house 10 times?
For a real occupation, there's a limitation.
No, well, I'm talking about just personal
I
now.
understand. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to get the picture of
Okay.
what's going on out of the property. Rural occupation and its principal dwelling
So, okay.
shall generate more than 20 vehicle trips per day to and from the site.
I
So
just-
the answer to your question is yes.
Yes, okay.
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 I'm asking about
All right.
all of it.
Okay, I don't,
How many vehicles do we have going in and out, in a single day here? Would you say?
on a normal day,
Yes.
my car and her car. And some days I'll have a van and maybe another pickup. But on a normal day, it's just her car and my truck. Now, my truck is a company truck but there is not a constant flow of traffic in and out throughout the day, ever.
So we have 2 personal vehicles plus the van, so that's 3 per day. Now that's 3. That's 3 vehicles twice a day.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
6. So go on another vehicle for the next 2. So that's business, so that's possibly. 6 trips per day. Is that about accurate?
I'd say, yeah, I guess that's accurate.
You don't have, you have 3 employees, you don't have 3 employees bringing vehicles to the site, or to your home,
No.
drop off, park the car, pick up a piece of equipment. That does not happen, is that correct?
Not every day it's happened. I mean, it happens from time to time, but
But it's not a daily occurrence.
no.
And they come to your house to do that because you happen to have a piece of equipment in your house.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct. I'm still currently, I'm doing landscaping and trying to get grass and stuff done, and still on fire with it. I mean, the equipment's only running out my house if I'm using it at my house.
There's business operations where you conduct your work construction on other folks' property, your customer's property. So it's seen and known to have happened in other locations that all of your vehicles could be parked on your property. Your employees come to the site every day, pick up the vehicle that they're used for the day, and then go to wherever the job site is and take back at the end of the day. All I'm trying to understand is that
Okay.
it's not.
Well, I don't wanna sound like I was trying to be a smart ass.
No,
I
no,
just,
you're
it
not.
was kinda.
No, you're not. I'm just trying to understand that that is not what's happening, okay?
Okay.
So if I'm wrong about that, please correct me now, but that's not what's happening. You said occasionally you might have a piece of equipment there, or an employee will come and pick it up and have to leave with that, but that's not a daily occurrence. They
No.
go to your main commercial
Lot,
site.
yes.
Lot at 1040.
Yes.
I'm not reading anything.
Okay, all right.
Just trying to get the facts, that's all. You do no manufacturing of any sort on the property,
No,
no building of anything,
No.
no construction, no sheet metal work or anything like that, no job sites, duct work or anything like that.
no. No, we buy cabinets, we don't.
Do you have any, you don't have any retail sales on the property?
No. No.
Are there any, restroom facilities in the whole park?
Yes.
And do those, how do those times of the,
Yes.
is it like one toilet, small bathroom? toilets?
One toilet and a sink, yeah.
And, it goes without saying, the water facilities for the pole barn, do they have a separate well for that?
No, it's off the house.
You don't have any paintings?
No.
Any body work up
No.
vehicles?
Is there any external lighting on the pole barn?
Yeah, there are dusted on, well, not a dusted on light, they're dusted on lights on both ends of the building.
And are those operational?
They're operational, they're seldom on.
So you don't,
I don't keep them on for that specific reason. I've been trying not to. Like, I have them on if I'm out there doing something at night, but they're not on every day now.
and those are like your standard, gas line?
It's a 500 watt quartz, not quartz, LED.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't say 500 watts.
So you manually shut them off?
They're just always off unless I turn them on, or someone comes in and hits the wrong switch. They're on, but.
And I'm sorry, maybe I didn't hear, are those on both sides, both ends?
Both ends of the building, yes.
Is the pole barn heated?
There's a wood stove in it.
Okay.
So your purpose is to bring the vehicles, you've got six, bring them into the pole barn, park them in the pole barn, and not do. You have to do some routine maintenance on the vehicle, that's all you're doing.
Correct.
Fixing the tire, changing the tire.
Changing the oil.
changing plugs, whatever.
Mostly routine, preventive maintenance, usually, yeah.
And that's for you to do.
Correct. Yeah, I have enough stuff to work on. I don't want to work on anyone else's.
Pole building, does that sit on a slab or foundation?
I mean, the poles are on footers into the ground, and then there's a slab poured inside. It's not really on a foundation. It's,
Slab the entire building?
yes.
That was the prior owner that constructed the pole building.
Yes.
How long was that pole building?
I think it was only built a year or two before I bought it, because I did see a building permit inside. It wasn't much more than a couple years old when we bought, so maybe 5 to 7 years old. yes.
The ordinance says, Jeff, correct me if I'm reading this wrong, the one rule of occupation of each commercial property shall not exceed the area of the principal residence ground floor or 1,000 square feet, which never is less.
I mean, the pole building's 3,200 square feet, I can't do the rest of that.
So you're looking at using the whole pole barn for rural occupations.
That would be my preference, yes.
Jeff, do I have that correct? Because otherwise you're going to need a variance to exceed 1,000 square feet. Unless there's been an amendment to the ordinance.
There is nothing in amendment.
That changes things, you know, square footage of the home. Is the full building divided then? Or is it one just open building? I assume.
It's one open building. Do you have that, or just so I could read that, do you have that?
There's also a second issue with the side yard setback. Because if you go over the prohibited setback. That's why I asked about the setback. It wasn't. That's something you have to get. Unless I'm getting.
You're actually saying 100, setback of 100 feet, that's for the front setback.
No, it says, 2B says, building is limited to 1 story or 20 feet. We have to have 20, because we said it doesn't exceed whichever is lesser. It says, is located in the rear yard, so based on your plan that you submitted, that does appear to be the rear yard of the property. And then it says, and is set back at least 100 feet from any side or rear lot line. We have to be design buildings compatible with the residential setting, so full building is not a concurrence, so you may agree with that. Or is it 100 feet setback, correct me if I'm misreading that, Jeff. Yeah, I don't.
Sorry, we're looking
Oh,
at
hang on, she has to do it.
In lieu of getting a variance, I would put 1,000 square foot building up 100 feet from the property line.
The 100 feet from the side property line, you certainly got more than 100 feet from the, I guess that would be the reason for variance here. I'd say 100 feet in, and Mr. Castle is to the west or to the east. That's my difference. Inward on your property, yeah. Now, could he construct another building, Jeff, would be another question. It seems that the utility 35.54, 57, Article 5, rural occupation. And the enumerated list of, there's 13 items there, those.
And I was looking at it as a pre-existing building.
It is, yeah, it is pre-existing building, there's no question. So that raises the question of
Before it was, when it was built, the previous owner, there was no intention of occupation.
but there has been no occupation conducted in that pool building, is that right?
That's correct, to my knowledge.
So we don't have a non-conforming use, we have a well, we have a non-conforming structure that would be for a rural occupation, but there was no occupation conducted in the building. So the building is set back an appropriate distance from the side yard, it doesn't meet the side yard requirements for rural occupation. So you're gonna be there's gonna be a variance to allow that to happen, to exceed the less than 100 feet. So that's why I asked how far back it was, and it's important. 95 feet, that takes us past closer to the limits.
It's
50 or 60 feet, and that's a substantial change. Just because the building existed doesn't make it non-conforming. Because there was no rural occupation that ever was conducted on the property.
Not to my knowledge.
Right.
Yeah, it's-
Nothing non-conforming about the building.
I mean, I know it's not over 75 feet. It could be 70, I'm just looking at my extension cords. I had a 50-foot cord and a 20-foot cord. It might be 80 feet. It might be 80 feet away. Because they were both short of the fence. On the other side. Yeah. Okay. So I understand correctly, I would need a variance for the distance plus the size?
Yeah. It says the lesser, shall not exceed the area of the residence, so the ground floor area of the residence, I've calculated at 2,294 square feet. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So that would be the maximum, according to the maximum full building that you can use.
That counts the,
Would be roughly 2/3 of it.
that counts the porches also, you're saying? You said the
Would
foot,
that fall under
footprint or?
the ground floor area definition to include porch? I did include it in that number. It says ground floor area of principal residence. It doesn't say capital.
Okay.
So I would say some of all floor areas of the building is measured from the outside surfaces, exterior walls, and all areas business or use. So I think the porch, garage are all part of that residential use. So it seems like that would fit within the definitions. Whether that's attached to the structure.
All right, well, I think I come up with enough numbers to make that work then.
That's what I was asking. Are there any changes to the?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Okay, so, because I didn't add to one side of the porch. So I have the house at 54 times 36 at 1,794 or 44? 1744. The 36 times 54.
I didn't have.
Okay. I have the front porch, which is 10 foot by 66 foot, the one direction, 660. I have the side porch, which is 12 foot by 24 foot. And then I have the garage at 32 by 26. I think that all totals over 3,200.
square feet. Plus 288, plus 832. Three different ways, so.
Yeah.
So we got 3,700, so why don't I ask the questions? I want to be sure that we're accurate. So that takes care of our square footage. Because the pole barn doesn't exceed the ground square footage there. However, it does say not exceed the principal residence or 1,000 square feet, whichever is less. So we're still limited to 1,000 square feet. So that takes me back to my question. Are you limited to, because the ordinance provides for that, we either have a variance of 1,000 square feet, or you're able to limit your use of the whole building to 1,000 square feet.
And if I do that on the end that is further from the property line, that eliminates the
Yes.
100 foot
It eliminates
distance.
the side yard setback, yes, because that, as I showed you here, it's specifically says you have to have.
So the lift is on the opposite side of the building. So that,
Farthest away from.
yes, and that's where we do most of our traffic from anyways. I try to not to use. If I wanted to, I could come in at a later date and apply for a variance then. If I'm doing this for 6 months and decide. prefer not to do that, but.
What I'm questioning here is what is the rural occupation? Because a rural occupation is defined as an accessory use to a single-family detached dwelling, and an occupation engaged in an enclosed building. So what is the occupation that's going to take place in this enclosed building? We're talking, describe that.
General maintenance on vehicle and equipment for my own use.
So it's an extension of your existing construction business is what we're talking about. Really, it's storage, parking of your vehicles in the garage on your property.
Correct.
And occasionally doing some, personal maintenance. I almost question why we're here.
Well,
Because
yeah.
you're not hanging a shingle, you're not doing
Yeah.
any work.
there's no customer traffic.
There's no customer traffic, it's the same driveway in and out, his property, your equipment, yes, yeah. So Jeff, that's what, I'm struggling a little bit at this point, so.
And I understand that, but
Yeah.
with them parking these vehicles up there, at the time, and from what I understand, from previous complaints and discussion, that the applicant is, his employees were coming up to the property, picking up vehicles, which initiated the complaints that business was being conducted off of that property. And through my investigations of it, I found that business was operated off of that.
You did or did
I did not.
Did not.
The property itself, at the time of the initial complaints or construction of his own residence, was the builder of his own residence, as well as some subcontractors under the catering system, with some of the work, but at no time, was he operating his actual business from his house, or had customer traffic.
So the construction activity on the property were people, workmen, et cetera, coming and going, or folks coming to build their home.
Yes.
That's
Or
it.
they may have been his own employees
Well-
picking up equipment, taking it to another job site. That's
So,
not.
so when you built your home, did your employees help you build your home?
Yeah. Correct. No, I mean, I'm not, I won't sit here, I'm 100% honest, I'm not gonna lie to anyone just to get what I want. They're there fairly regularly right now because I do use this stuff, like I said, all my tools are in my van, so if I need a hammer, I might be exaggerating there, but if I need a saw or something to do work on my house, it's all in my van. So I can only drive one vehicle at a time, so they come up and get the van and leave in the morning. From time to time, we'll come back and get excess material out of the garage that it's dry storage, so if I have a piece of plywood left from a job, it'll be, and if we run short, we'll come back and get it. Believe me, it seems senseless to me to have to do this also. This guy has just been tormenting me for a year, and I don't know what else to do. I gotta be afraid to, like, one morning he's in the woods taking pictures of us. 6:30 in the morning, he's in full camouflage in there taking pictures of us. I mean, I don't know if the guy's capable of shooting us, if he gets mad enough or not, I don't know.
All right, Jeff, that's where I'm back to you
And
because
my recommendation was,
Yeah.
all the fact that he does have an
And when he says park, it's strictly for the purpose of if I have to fix something, like, I don't just bring it there, I don't leave a job and bring my truck and trailer there just to park it so I can go somewhere else. It's there for a reason, either to work on my property or if it needs mechanical work done.
And you can see from the photos that were presented to you in the package, the property itself, and I have made several trips up there for observation. It is still, I would consider it under construction. The landscaping and stuff, as far as the building itself is residence, it does have an occupancy for it, which is on there. Surrounding property is all by natural buffer, with the exception that I've had square footage that put it up against the property to prevent any other types of obstruction or on the property. There's been a lot of complaints that I have received with Township. And with your testimony, like, it's the opposite. I didn't find any violations.
You have a separate office, at another location, where you do all of the regular business work, talk to customers, et cetera, et cetera.
No, I have a home office, but no customers ever come to my
No
house,
customers
ever, no.
whatsoever. You don't build anything, so you don't have any signs up on the property related to business.
No. But every time this guy sees a truck on my property,
Sure.
he calls.
And I can understand that if I see construction of a home, there needs to be a number of vehicles coming and going, that goes onto the property, that, and you coordinate that with your existing business. But if I understand you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, that your vehicles are normally parked down at 1040.
Yeah, yes.
And they're on your commercial site, I mean, your business.
Yeah. The van is at my property a lot.
Well, the van is what you drive.
I drive my pickup, but my work van, my tool van is at my property a lot because she has a lot of stuff for me to finish still inside.
That's a much different scenario than saying, you know, I've got 6 vehicles that I use to operate my business, and at the end of every day, I bring them home.
Never.
Park them on my property.
That never happens.
The following morning, I'm gonna have folks, that's what I said earlier, come pick them up and then leave and go elsewhere. So what you're telling me, if I understand you correctly, is you've got these 6 vehicles, they're parked at your regular business site operation. Aside from the tool van right at the moment, if you have another piece of equipment, if you have your dump truck or whatever that you need to come back and do some work on, you wanna bring that back to your enclosed whole building there and do the work inside the building there and then take it out.
Yes.
right? So we're not going to see all 6 vehicles parked outside the whole building.
Never. There's never been 6 vehicles
Day in
all in
and
there.
day out.
Yeah.
So you bring one home, instead of bringing your truck home that night, you maybe bring it home your dump truck or one of your vans or what have you, to do some servicing, except for the tool.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, that tool van is coming back and forth a bit because you're doing ongoing construction to completion.
Yes.
So when your home is completed, then that's gonna basically stop. The only time you can see the tool van there is really when you're bringing it in to do some maintenance.
Yes, but I mean, I never stop working, so, I mean, I always am doing something, so that van, I'm not gonna bullshit and say that the van won't be there for over the next couple of years, cause I'm always doing something.
I'm just trying to understand what it is you're doing, what the application is, the extent of it, okay? And what you're asking for, and the relief that you're doing.
And I think with the complaints that have been coming into the township, with the vehicles being brought up to
No, I don't, I mean,
This business. He has it all, so. He doesn't have it.
So what we have is a very limited use rural application. And that's still one of the
yeah.
questions about
Yeah.
trying to understand. So, this is a special exception. It's the, rural applications are allowed in this so we have to show that we can meet the objective requirements of the ordinance in section 5.1.54, which, I went through the, I believe I covered the whole, one of the big application. And the only two that are an issue there are setback and sidewalk and then the limitation of the area to be used, which is 1,000 square feet. For what you want to do. The area of your pool barn, the reason I asked, you have a wood there, how big of an area is that less than 1,000 square feet?
Yeah, the lift, well, the building's 40 foot wide, and the lift probably takes up. Well, it's probably right at 1,000. The bay is probably 25 feet. Yeah.
When granting a special exception, you do a special exception for granting the conditions on it, and there's certain obligations to take those into consideration. Questions on it. Does I'm still, the way the ordinance reads, it says prohibited, but it is limited to. And is, if that's certain types of object use. That's pretty clear, it's on the form.
That's
So,
not the only,
I'm sorry.
that's not the only thing you use that building for, correct? You use it
No.
For storage of your personal property that you maintain.
It's mostly my workshop. I have woodworking equipment, I have welding stuff. I mean, I weld.
So that building is not strictly for maintaining your
No,
construction equipment.
no.
That's kind of a question, because, well, they bring stuff home from work, that's enough, clean it up home.
Jeff, you're nodding your head. Is that a fair assessment based on your inspection of property, your property?
Yeah, that's correct, 'cause I mean, like I said, I've been up there several times, that's where the inspections and stuff. And my observation, Mary has always been working on this residential construction. Since he has resided there, there's been tremendous improvement of the grounds and stuff. But the landscaping, I know he has a lot to do, more work than have to do, but he has done a tremendous job in that parcel. Since he purchased it.
I know you recommended it, I'm just.
Based on the complaints that were received at the district, a squash to it, complaints met, because I know, he does work constantly. I have not seen him yet at this property, he's out somewhere. But I'm trying to get something along here, and hopefully I can get the recommendations from the board to make a decision. You don't get to run on your face.
Well, that's why I'm asking the questions as to what is the relief, what you're asking for. Now, you might still ask for that relief if you have a very narrow scope of occupation, okay, that you can do when I ask this question. So I understood that. Is it an extension of the business, or you don't do your service on a vehicle at your commercial site, because you want to put it into your folder and you could work on it behind the closed door to take it out and call it a day.
Yeah.
Or so.
Yeah.
Or so, but, take it out, but you don't have employees coming in as a station. This is where, they come, compared to if you didn't have a commercial facility. At another location, and you had all your vehicles and equipment there, and your employees were only in one place to go.
Right.
Your property to pick up their work vehicles and tools and heavy equipment that they're not doing that. So you're parking all of your equipment out at your site, which just happens to be here.
Correct.
Boy, that's pretty thin. Small occupation.
And again, with his construction company that he has an offsite facility. He's still maintaining all his property, his construction business. Not necessarily that he's not in the business. He does, that he has his home office, where the property, how the construction is done. So, that's good. For rural occupation.
I think, not that I'm trying to talk you out of saying, get out of here, you don't need this. You'll understand my frustrations more when you hear this guy come in here.
Do you have an office at your commercial building as well?
No, I don't have a commercial building, it's just a vacant lot. It's just a storage lot.
Okay.
But there's pictures,
That's M4.
yeah, there are pictures of, I have a lot of stuff. I mean, there's virtually nothing at my house if you look at the scope of what I have. And in the pictures, most of my stuff is not even there, it's on jobs. But that lot is where everything gets parked.
Commercial lot is a vacant lot. I see that. That's the one here, that
Yeah.
last page of your application. The buildings in the background are one of the properties, that's not yours.
Correct. I mean, this guy was arguing with me one day why I don't move my pole building over to my commercial lot.
So you have all your outdoor storage for materials, vehicles, et cetera, all on that tenant floor.
Yes.
Yeah, the flip
All right,
side.
I see the connection in the rural occupation, because there's a business office there, but there's a primary business office, so
No, no, no. I was just thinking of the flip side, that I can see three, applicable limitations. But beyond that, at that point, he could do things that would maybe cause even more of a
Well, that's what you have limitations. Okay. I follow, I see, Jeff, where you're trying to say there is a crossover, there is a connection.
There is.
To the house. All right, I'm glad I asked the question.
There is a little connection there that I think
The difference with a home occupation, you have to have it in residence. Yeah, and you're talking about using a portion of your whole building. For the theater, which is
But there are now or never will be customers coming to the property. I need to get away from that. Like, I'm like, well, I don't want them at my house.
Well, the fact that you have the office in the home is really no impact home occupation. That's a permitted accessory use. And the ordinance says that there's to be no other rural occupations on the same property. These are two things defined separately under the ordinance. So,
I just had two things to add, just
yes.
so it's, I know you probably already all know this because you know these rules, but just so it's in your head when they come in. Just when I read rural resource area, it says an area described in the municipal or multi-municipal plan within which a rural resource uses, including but not limited to, agricultural, timbering, mining, quarrying, and other extractive industries. So certainly what I want to do is less intrusive than any of those items. But it says including those but not limited to those, so it kind of leaves other occupations open, I believe anyways. And then also within the rural resource area, though I'm not agricultural, there's an agricultural nuisance disclaimer stating that anyone that lives in rural resource has to accept normal noise from agriculture, including commercial agriculture. So, like, any noise that they can complain about is certainly less than what is permissible in rural resource zoning.
Well, you're not manufacturing the property, I follow you. You're using the lift, which, and the equipment that you're using there's no machinery that you're operating. It's not like
Yeah.
a mechanic's garage, they're doing truck repairs, body work, which is some of the things we talked about. All right, I appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your comments or your application?
No, that's all I have.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Or is there anything else? All right, I guess, next, whoever's going to, anybody else that you want to have testify over there now? Who's next? If not, anybody else here for the application? Is everybody here?
The one neighbor showed up, not to complain. I mean, he's my neighbor. He showed up. So, James Tresco. Thank you.
I do.
Please state your name.
Spell your last name.
Okay, it's Tresco.
Oh, that's fine. And your residence.
2090 Potts Hill Road.
Thank you. Would like to give testimony.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I've been living at 2090, I think, since 2018. Been a direct neighbor to Rob, obviously, since he's moved into his property. And as far as I'm concerned, in terms of any kind of vehicles or construction equipment causing any problems, I really haven't noticed anything. I don't particularly get nosy when it comes to this kind of thing, but if, in terms of noise or whether or not there's vehicles going in and out of there all day long in the mornings and the evenings, I really have not noticed it. And I'm living right beside him, so I feel like I would pick up on it, and like the beeping, and if anything, to the point is the only thing I really hear now is the warehouse being built. So there's really nothing going on that I would say in terms of, since I've lived there, that I've noticed anything that would cause an issue, at least especially in any time like it would normal course of the day. I will say that I've seen vehicles come in and out of there, like with his business name on it, but I wouldn't say that's like a regular occurrence. And a lot of the times, and from what I understand, they were building their house up there, so I think most of the time that I did see those, it was during construction of the home, and anything else around the home. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's any, I have no complaints in terms of being his direct neighbors, so that's about all I have. I mean, I don't know if you guys have questions for me or.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yes.
Good to go?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Hello, I do.
Please state your name and residence.
I'm Susan Gerhart, and I am at 30 Ridge Road. Mr. Harkin is requesting a special exception for a business at his Potts Hill property. The business will be commercial. In our residential setting, zoned just that. It will involve trucks, trailers, noise, lights, employees, and who knows what else. And that is what I've been told. I live on Ridge Road. I have lived on Ridge Road for 45 years plus. Potts Hill is very busy, as are Windermere and Ridge, and also very prone to accidents due to weather, wildlife, speeding, carelessness, and substance. Potts Hill has deteriorated over the years. We have 2 stagnant ponds, we have junk vehicles, we have grass that's not being mowed, we have houses that appear to be abandoned. We have an open arc of garbage which sits right across from the property we're talking about. You can actually see it. Finally, how will large vehicles such as trucks, trailers, tractors, tow vehicles, how will they turn into and how will they turn out of this area on Potts Hill? In closing, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. And, excuse me, I also would like to thank Scott Getkin and the crew of Public Works, the police department, and the responders, fire, and ambulance. We are a growing area. We continue to be a growing area, and what we need to do, we can do better. I'd like to see things planned, I'd like to see things enforced, and I'd like to see everyone help out, and have you help out. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Sir, I need to swear you in.
Pardon?
I need to swear you in.
Sure.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and residence.
My name's Ralph Gerhart, and I live at 30 Ridge Road. 50 years, 45 years. Before I get started, some of you guys probably don't remember this, but 30 plus years ago, we had an incident in this area which contaminated wells. People were dumping chemicals, so EPA came in. We got the EPA in, and they checked the wells, and they were contaminated. As a result of those many, many months, year, they drilled and blasted and dug up and ran water lines from Fairview down to all these people's wells. And they still use the water today. Now here we are in 2020. And I understand that you're proposing to alter property that was zoned residential and convert it into property that isn't zoned for, whether it be not residential, but I'm trying to find the word. What are you trying to do to the property? Change it over to,
If one being changed, not changing.
you're not changing anything? So what's the reason for the meeting?
The gentleman is asking for a special exception so that he can rural application on this property.
So, okay. So my 4 questions for that is noise and fuel pollution. Is that going to occur?
Nothing that would occur more than a motor vehicle.
Well, I personally live on the street and I hear a lot of noise, especially when he was building his house, which I understand. I've lost my windshield on my truck from the stones that came out of his driveway. A car came up past me and cracked my windshield. I understand that too. He has cleaned the driveway up some, but every time it rains, you have a large amount of volume of water that comes down that hill. That hill has been stripped completely. I used to walk the kids through there. It was all timber. Now it's stripped. All that runoff is going around everywhere. Number 2 is the traffic danger. Potts Hill is a very dangerous road because of the traffic, the speeding traffic, and the narrowness of the road. I can't imagine him pulling vehicles up and out, back and forth on that road, and not having some danger involved, including the house right across the street that has a family in it. And if you have a runaway truck, they're going to be the first ones to hit it. Understand you're going to do some engine work? Well, I've seen some pictures, and I'm pretty well disgusted with your property. I can see them.
Okay.
From my house?
Yes.
No, not from my house, but I can see him from walking around your property,
Walking on my property?
around your property. And I'm not impressed at all.
Well, you don't
It
have
looks
to-
like a
you don't-
pig pen.
You don't have, it does.
Yes, it does. For a residential area, it looks like a pig pen.
You don't have to be impressed, you don't have,
Pardon?
you don't own it, so you don't have to worry about being impressed with it. I'm impressed with it, I built it.
But I'm a landowner that lives next to you.
Your property owns it, like mine.
No. If you wash down engines, what happens to the runoff?
Well, my question to you was, where are you getting your information from? I'm not opening a repair shop.
What are you opening?
I want to be able to drive up and change oil in my truck.
And that's it?
Yeah.
How many vehicles do you have up there now? 1? 5? 7? 4?
They're not commercial, they're trailer vehicles.
Are they all drivable?
Yeah.
I've seen them sitting there in the snow, and I still see the same vehicle sitting there. That was a year ago.
How does that concern you?
Other words, what you're saying is what you do in your property is your business.
No, I asked, how do those vehicles sitting there concern you? The ones you see sitting there, is her vehicle she drives when it snows, that's the only time it gets used.
And my daughter's
The other one,
I understand that. I understand where you're coming from.
the other one is her daughter who is deployed in Syria right now, that's her car,
Mhm.
sitting there because she's deployed
Mhm.
in the military. So where's the problem?
I see box vans,
Yeah,
trucks,
that I use to work on my house?
and they're all gone now, because your house is finished, right?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. So they'll remain there as long as you have your house being worked on.
It's possible, I guess.
And what do you do inside the building? The red barn
I
building?
don't really, that's your business, your business.
It is when I see a pile of material outside your property, on your property, outside your building, and you're burning a huge fire, burning it, a residential area.
That doesn't happen anymore, I'm not allowed to burn there anymore.
Oh, sure. And there's another thing that I'm really concerned about, is if your property is sold
Yeah.
or transferred into another name, does it go back to residential property?
Again, with the designation of property.
So if he would sell his property, a person could come in and continue what he's doing with, if it's granted what you're getting at.
The special exception itself. Unless I'm wrong.
No, they don't use it. She's asking for an accessory use, which is the use that's allowable under this section of the ordinance to conduct some pretty fairly limited activities in this enclosed building.
Well, so I don't have an answer if he would sell his property, if this would continue.
It could,
Correct.
but if it does, it would continue subject to the conditions.
With an entirely new type of business.
Maybe placed, no.
Oh,
Whatever limitations we place on it.
okay.
Operation area.
Well, I know, I've been to these, before, these places, and you have too. I am concerned, I do not like for him to have a change in his property. I know where he's headed, and he doesn't have to answer that. But if you look back 30 years and remember when it happened. And if you look ahead 20 years, back to today, you will know that the decision you guys come to, and girls, will be a very, very important decision. Because once you give the horse the range, you're not pulling it back. And it takes a lot of supervision and authority and officers checking the properties to see if that doesn't happen. So that's all I have to say. And I'm not happy with him trying to get this property changed or even agreements to it. Because I see the runoff. And I see the danger on the roads. And I have no guarantee in the future that he's not going to do anything inside that barn he wants to, unless it's been supervised or someone shows some authority and looks at it. So I thank you, and I'll let you at that.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'll just swear you in.
Okay,
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
yes.
Thank you. Would you please state your name and residence?
I am Stephanie Hawkins, and I live at 80 Ridge Road. Okay. I am here this evening in regards to the special exception that Mr. Robert Harkins wants on his property that is adjacent to mine. I have contacted the zoning department on several occasions about the noise and business activity that Mr. Harkins has been doing on his property. I do understand that he has been building a house, and that noise I can accept, but there has been other noise that has been unacceptable. My husband and I bought our home because of the area and the property. We fell in love with the land and the beautiful wooded area that surrounded our home. But most of all, we loved the peace and quiet of the area. Not long after we bought our house in May of 2017, the noise started. And I understand that was preparing and building his house and whatever else he was doing. But there has been daily noise and vibrations with the vehicles coming and going from the pole barn. I truly believe that if Mr. Harkins gets this special exception on his property, that it will affect the whole neighborhood and change the value in the atmosphere. It will no longer have the peace and quiet that it used to. If he can cause this much noise and disturbance before his exception is granted, who says it won't get worse if we know what can happen with the vehicles and employees now? Where will Mr. Harkins park these vehicles since the pole barn borders my property? If there is a fuel leak, who will clean that up and who is responsible if it gets onto my property? Will there be precautions taken? I have a son and a dog who like to play in our woods, and do I have to worry about these fumes, smoke, whatever else can happen? He is in a rural resource area, and according to the zoning ordinance, no outdoor storage or display shall be permitted. So where will the vehicles be parked when they aren't being worked on? Who will enforce this? I sincerely care about my neighbors and our neighborhood, and I certainly wouldn't have bought a home in this area if I didn't care about what my neighbors felt. I knew the pole barn was there when I bought my house, but I never expected to have this much noise and disturbance in an area like this. I moved away from the city to have the peace and quiet, not to move towards it. More of it. I hope that you take what I've said in consideration. Yep.
you guys mind if I keep this shield on? I can lower this.
I just need to swear you in, sir. Oh, wait. Oh. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God, I do.
Thank you, sir. Can you state your name and place of residence?
Gary Castle. I live at 70 Ridge Road. I have a prepared statement, but you guys can ask any questions that you'd like, and I would like to probably add a few at the end. We'll start that I do know that Mr. Harkin, my neighbor's name is Hawkins, and sometimes I slip. I know he knew this property was Royal Resource when he bought it, because he told me. And if he knew it ahead of time, he should know to obey by the rules of the township. They say that a man's character, one measure of a man's character is what you do when nobody's looking. He bought that property because he thought he could be up there where nobody would care. And I'm going to start here. Good evening. Residing at 70 Ridge Road. I'm here to object to the special exception sought by Mr. Robert Harkins on his property adjacent to mine. I'm the closest one. I can actually look out not in the summertime, but in the wintertime, I can actually look out my kitchen window into his, even after he put up the fence, I can still look into his barn. Mr. Harkins has operated a business activity on this location for over 2 years that violated the zoning ordinance, and it was frequently reported to the zoning officer. Mr. Harkins' property is not eligible for rural occupation. Pole barn does not meet setback requirements, square footage requirements, 1,000 square feet. And it has to be in an enclosed area. Any of his activities have to be in an enclosed area. So he could do it in his barn if it's acceptable, but all the doors have to be closed. Everything has to be screened. No outdoor storage, which he has right now, and noise. Pardon me, I used to be an airline pilot. I'm a little sensitive to things, to noise. And this is just a couple weeks ago. I'm sitting there having a cup of coffee earlier in the morning, and I heard what I thought was a pod on an engine from an airplane going into Harrisburg. I go running out of the house. I looked up, no airplane. It was a noise from his property. My windows were vibrating. No glare. We get that from the lights. I can't say I've had any fumes. I've seen smoke from the burning, which he hasn't done recently, and the vibration. None of that is permitted. It happens all the time. Oh, let me digress. Beginning of this year, I decided, I don't do this all the time, I'm an average citizen. I'm not, and I told, where's Claire? I told Claire, says, look, I don't want to be this policeman. I don't want to be the evidence collector. I've got 3 pages of dates and times when there was engine noise, banging, clanging, clamping, whatever going on back there, that I can hear in my house with the doors and windows closed. And that's now. Mr. Harkins is asking relief to repair vehicles and store construction equipment that cannot meet setback requirements. He's supposed to be, I think, 100 feet away from my property line. Where's he going to put this equipment if he's going to meet those requirements? Oh, the size of the vehicles. How big are these damn things? Excuse me. How big are they going to be? Is they going to have 4 wheels, 8 wheels, 12 wheels, 18 wheels? Is it going to be 48 length, 53 length, high cube or standard cube? We need to know that. All right, that's why it shouldn't be permitted. There are 2 separate occupation endeavors, probably 3. He's allowed 1. These activities, what I say, one would be storage of the equipment. One would be working on the vehicles inside the barn. And plus he has his regular business that he operates. That's all a matter of judgment. These activities, however, I say will change the character of our neighborhood. It has changed the character of our neighborhood. And if he continues, if he gets any kind of more of an exception, it will continue and get worse. Even though Mr. Harkin's business activities have been reported to the zoning officer numerous times, he continues to operate his business at this location. In September, that's last month, I witnessed people load. You know, I tell Claire, I don't like to do this. I really don't. But I like my property. I have paths around my property. I walk back there. I shot a deer, 2 deer, right in front of where his barn door is now. It used to be beautiful, but he didn't change it completely. The other owners did too. But the point is, I lost my place. I get a little emotional there thinking of those good times. I'll start all over. Even though Mr. Harkin's business activities have been reported to the zoning officer numerous times, he continues to operate his business. In September, I witnessed people loading vehicles, a truck, from material that was inside his barn. It looked like a sheet of Formica, 4x8, was it? A zoning complaint dated February 2, 2020 was filed with the Township on the 26th. On March 28th, I was at the meeting on March 28th. A letter dated July 25th, 2020 was outlining the zoning complaint was also read to the board of supervisors. Mr. Wintermeyer told me he would discuss the situation with Mr. Hawkins, which I understand he did. A short time later, Mr. Harkins, I gotta get ahead of myself here. A short time later, the construction equipment on his property was moved, but he still continued to operate his business. This exception seeks to undo the efforts of Mr. Wintermeyer to bring the property into compliance and would cause hardship and harm to the property owners who are in contact with his business activity. In other words, those of us that look out our windows and see his trucks going up and down, and I can refer to this log. As I said, I don't do this every day. I do it when I'm up, but I've got 3-4 pages of trucks going in and out. I usually get them in the morning because there's so many other noises in the afternoon and I can't log them all. Mr. Harkin in the past has operated his business on a routine basis. Employees would arrive between 4:45 and 7 a.m. and depart in Harkin trucks. There's a nice place to drink coffee back there. They may return during the day, sometimes to resupply, whatever, but usually at the end of the day, 3 to 4 o'clock, they return. If this exception is granted, this type of disturbance we will be dealing with all the time. The traffic, the noise, the vibration. Somebody said, you ought to tell him, ask him, would you want this guy to be having this activity behind your house? When he fires up his diesel engines, they vibrate. They cause my windows to vibrate. The reason why, there's a young man here that said that he didn't have a problem. One of the reasons why that's the case is because they fire up the vehicles around our area, behind our Steph and I's house and Bill's house, and then they're able to glide down the hill so that you don't disturb the people down at the bottom of the hill, but they disturb us. He is asking for an exception to, I'm sure you guys have this. You should. It's called 525.4 Royal Occupations. He's not asking for an exception for one or two things. He's basically asking for an exception to get out of doing any of them, all of them, except one. It says here, in no case shall the required maximum lot coverage be exceeded by those impervious surface associated with the principal residence, rural occupation, and or other permitted accessory uses and structure. I don't even know what the hell that means, but I'm sure he complies with it. I apologize for the language. I was in the military for 24 years, and sometimes it slips. That is the reason why he should be denied this exception. He doesn't even qualify to have an occupation there. So how can you give him an exception? I've been a resident of this township for 47 years. Changes like this take us in a direction we should never accept. You will be sanctioning a commercial operation in a residential neighborhood. Now, granted, it's rural resource. It was one time residential. It's changed to that. But you got all these houses, and now you want to plant a commercial operation right in the middle of all these houses. And he knew about it before he bought the property. To me, he wants to do what he wants to do without regard to neighbors or the ordinance. The ordinance. There are civilized men have rules. They make rules to protect each other. Civilized men behave in a manner that will ensure that the welfare of his fellow man. This is not happening. He doesn't care what he's doing to our properties. You just think of it this way. I'm friggin' old. I'm going to be dead probably in 5 years. My house gets sold, and some young couple comes in there, and they buy the house, and they have a newborn. The kid's bedroom is facing, our kid's bedroom, the master bedroom in the front, the other two kids' bedroom in the back. So you put your baby to bed. At 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever, this guy's firing up his diesel engines. What's that going to do to a little kid? My wife and I saw this paper, this property in the newspaper. And we were the first ones to build on Ridge Road, north of the trailer court. We were out there, and here I was, fresh out of the Navy, 26, 27 years old, and had this
my young wife of 24 years old, and I was leaving to go to reserve duty, and she was out in the middle of nowhere. We actually had kids coming in and doing parties, wanting to have parties where on our driveway, because they had been doing it for years. Hell, some of you guys might have done it. I don't know, because I'm a little older. But the point is that we've seen it grow, and we know the potential of this area. It's a beautiful area. We love this place. And this is the kind of thing that you guys have to protect. You have to protect it. Just as Ralph said, it's not just for today, it's for tomorrow. Zoning is to make sure there's a plan that goes forward that maintains the integrity of the township. And I kind of know that. I have a comprehensive plan at home that has my name in it. So I'm a little upset about the way this has been handled and the fact that somebody can even apply for some kind for an exception right in the middle of a resident. It's not legally residential, but it is a residential area. Any questions? I apologize for some of my language. I get a little emotional with this. And
How many days a week do you find that you run equipment down the driveway?
lately, it's been interesting. Since Claire spoke to him, nothing. January 2nd. Now, I don't do this all the time. Sometimes I sleep in. January 2nd, January 7th, January 14th, January 17th, January 21, 22, 23, 24, February 6, 11, 13, 14, 18, 19, March 3rd, 5, 10. How many more you want to go? Almost every day. I've gone out there. The last time I was out there, I went out, took my cup of coffee. I said, Claire told him about starting out at 6 o'clock. I says, I bet you this guy's going to start earlier. So I went out earlier. Sure enough, instead of 7 o'clock or 6:45, 5:45, there's a private vehicle coming up the driveway. A young kid got out, got in one of his trucks, and they take off. So I see it. If I go back and do it and look, I see it very frequently. I can hear it almost every time. Do you know how I got to know this? What the heck is going on here? He had a guy that had a motorcycle. And he would start, you could hear him get off the highway. And you could hear him coming up Potts Hill Road. And he'd pull, here he is, making the turn up his driveway. And he right behind our house. Well, have you ever known a motorcyclist to shut down without going, and that's what he did. So he'd shut his motorcycle down, and then he'd hop into a truck, fire up the truck, off he goes. So a lot. We see it a lot. Enough that it's very annoying. It should not be allowed. Does that answer your question, or should I say more? It happens very, very frequently.
The understanding is that it's, wants to use his home barn, maintain his equipment, but doesn't want to park his equipment permanently on his property. He has a property where he can park his equipment. I just found to get all the facts.
Okay. Well, my point is, my opening statement about character. I wish I could feel that he would do what he would say he would do. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. Once you give him the approval, he could do whatever he wants to do. Who's going to monitoring him? Who's going to be watching? You guys have limited resources. How much can you spread yourselves out? But somebody's got to keep an eye on this guy. Any other questions? I will say that I have the nicest neighbors. I once said, if we move, I want to take my neighbors with me. Not anymore.
You can, you will.
Sir, I need to swear you in.
Sure,
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
absolutely.
Thank you. Could you state your name and place of residence for the record?
Sure. Bill Weigard. I live at 100 Ridge Road. I've lived in Newberry Township for, since 1977. Prior to that, I lived just across the borderline in Fairview Township. Went to Newberrytown Elementary School down here before all the additions. Love this area. Great place to live that I still feel rural, but I can hop on 83 and be in York or Harrisburg in a matter of minutes. I'd like to say I have no axe to grind with Mr. Harkin at all. In fact, I've never met the gentleman before. And I am a firm believer that when one buys a piece of ground, pays for it, and pays the taxes on it, he should be able to do pretty much whatever he'd like with that piece of property, provided it's within code, and he takes some consideration of neighbors. And I'm not sure that's happening, and that's unfortunate. I think Mr. Harkin's in that line of work, construction and what have you. He knows what zoning and codes are all about. And like all of us, from time to time, I think we all press the envelope and see how far we can get away with things. And I think that's maybe the case here. So I would be opposed to the special exemption. In my mind, in a sense, if we do that, we're rewarding him for going about his business and pressing the envelope, knowing full well probably he wasn't following guidelines, but had neighbors not got together and got riled up about it, things probably wouldn't have changed or won't change. So again, I'm kind of opposed to giving him the exemption. I'm a little concerned too that it had to come to this point. I pay taxes like all of us do. I guess I paid for part of this building and some of the salaries and the electric bill and so on. I'm sure we have a code enforcement officer, and I'm concerned why some of this wasn't addressed long before neighbors had to get all riled up about it. I hope we don't have a good old boys club here somewhere that as long as you're well connected, you can get away with some of these things. That would disappoint me. Enough said. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
first thing, there's absolutely never been any employees or anyone leaving my house at 4:45, except for my wife, who is a nurse, that leaves at that time pretty much every day. So I just wanted to clear that up. The noise with the motorcycle, I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't have an employee that has, an employee had a motorcycle 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know that it was ever at my property. Maybe it happened once or twice, but if that's what he's talking about from 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know. But there is not an employee that comes on with a motorcycle. And every one of those people that were here were all instructed by Gary from 80 Ridge Road. That's where they got all their information from, I can tell you that. That's really all I have to say. I mean, I've been perfectly honest up here. That's all I have to say.
So I'll look at this plot plan. With the names of your neighbors? Yeah. The only one that showed up here complaining was the past? Oh, there was, yes.
I mean, I don't know her. I didn't know her name, but I know who it is. I've talked to the other neighbors who love him. No one had a problem with me or anything I'm doing, so they would have been driving. One gentleman called Jeff, then called me and asked what I was doing. I explained it to him. He totally understood what I was doing and why I was doing it. He didn't have a problem with it. He's gathered his number, but the one lady, the first lady and gentleman, said they understood that we reloaded murders and they got all the information from him, obviously. Where that even came from, reloading murders.
Jeff, in the times that you put out for the property, can you see?
I could not see. And how the fence is placed up. I'm actually driven on Ridge Road, on this property, so.
You are, if I swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
State your name and address.
Pamela Harkins, 2100 Potts Hill Road. First of all, I'm kind of sad that this is coming to this. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen my neighbors. I would have liked to known them outside of this, you know, just to get to know us without knowing I'm Robert Harkins' wife, you know. And for this man to come in here and talk about my husband, he doesn't know anything about my husband. He has great integrity. He's gone out of his way to try to appease the neighbors. He's, you know, we lived in a neighborhood. I used to live in Woodbridge Farms community. It's where my husband lived with me there. And we just wanted a piece of ground just to get away from the neighborhood, you know, to be by ourselves, to have land. he loved the pole building because he does. He has a construction company, he has lots of equipment, he has lots of stuff to put in there. And we just thought, we just wanted to just retire in quiet. Yes, it's been, we've had construction going on with the house. It lasted a year. My husband worked 365 days that year. He would go to work all day and then leave and try to build our house in the evening till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I mean, yes, so there was some noise sometimes, but he's gone out of his way to try to do things to keep this one particular guy at bay. Just, this guy, we've seen flashes at the night. I think he's taking pictures of our house. I'm assuming he's probably on our property somewhere. I feel like we're always being watched, like we need to watch our back because of this guy. And I have children. We have 6 children together. We do have cars because all except one of our children are adults. They've gone off to college, graduated. I have one in college still and one at home still. It's just sad. It's sad that this is how they're acting. He's just trying to make a living. We don't have people coming up there to do business. We have lots of family. Our kids come back to visit us all the time because they like us. We're good people. We have a grandson that, they rent the rental property. My daughter rents the rental property from us. So my 3-year-old grandson's at my house a lot, I mean, we're not bothering anybody. We're not here to bother anybody. He's not doing all these crazy things with this guy. I hear there's no rattling of windows. My gosh, my house is way closer to the pole building than his is, and the trucks don't even wake me up, and I am a light sleeper. I don't know what he's complaining about. Maybe if the wind blows. I mean, I hear the racetrack. Sometimes really loud, and then other times not so loud. I think it depends on the way the wind's blowing. But he's not, they're making him out to be that one particular gentleman, to be some kind of monster who knew about this stuff before he bought the property, and his intention was to come and wreck the neighborhood. That's not it. He wanted a home. He's been in construction for over 30 years. This is the first home that he's actually built for himself. And, this is our forever home. And I would like to be able to get along with all the neighbors. I mean, I like the fact that they're far away enough that I can't even see them. But I had to ask him to show me where this guy's house is, the one that keeps complaining, because I didn't even see it. He had to take me up and point, and I'm looking through, and I could barely see the top of his roof. And I'm like, how? He's the one that's complaining like you're right next to him? It's unreal. It's just unreal. And I hope that whatever happens here tonight, that it'll put an end to this, because it's ridiculous. It really is. He's not building stuff in there. It's what he told you. I mean, we even have some of our personal stuff in there. Our chairs and different things that I don't have room for in the house to store. I mean, I don't know. I'm really getting frustrated just sitting here listening to these people.
I didn't think to ask earlier, but how much noise is coming from the construction of the warehouse?
Lots of noise. I hear them. They're building all night long though, so, but it's not, you get used to it, after. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. And I do leave for work at about 4 o'clock, 4:15 every morning. So maybe that's what he sees. I don't have any music blasting. I'm tired. We can see it. There is a lot of noise going on there.
all the equipment over there at our house, just like it's there, but it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't wake my grandson up when he's taking a nap in my house, or in the morning.
I've actually started doing diesel trucks at my property from his neighbor's house. Because to know if it was really noisy up there, and I was at his neighbor's house. It was closer to his house. Maybe the same difference. I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, and this whole camera thing, like he said he can still see. If he can still see, he must have stuck his deer cam up higher in the tree so he could still look over. You know, he's worried about who's going to watch. He's the only one watching like a hawk. He probably, poor guy, is probably stressed out to the max because he's always worried about what he's doing. I don't know. He must have too much time on his hands, but it's really kind of frustrating. I mean, you see people do crazy things nowadays. I mean, I don't know if he's going to, you know, come try to shoot us up or something. Who knows? I mean, you see crazy stuff happen, and he seems a little unstable. So, I don't know. It's just my thoughts. It's just sad that it really is sad that it came to this. I've never had issues with neighbors ever. And especially people that have never even met us. He doesn't know a thing about us. He doesn't know what my husband's intentions are, what he's thinking. He's not in his head. I don't even know what he's thinking half the time. So, anyway, that's all I have to say if you have questions.
So we're, Sam, if they limit the thousand square feet, it's up to the sun and then the building. For the use. We're thinking that would. That would satisfy.
Well, look at 5.5, 5.42. Don't have to be both. I was asking about. The ordinance was last amended in 2016. I'm sorry, the ordinance was last amended about somewhere in 2016.
The last revision was 2012.
Well,
The ordinance covers 2000.
no, the zoning ordinance has been amended since then.
That's correct.
Okay, and the last amendment was in 2016, is that right?
And revised in 2012.
I understand that. I was asking when it was last amended. Okay, so it's 2016. When was the pole building built? There was a building.
There was a permit issued for the property for the private owner. I got you that. That's just like looking at it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? All those in favor for recess for next deliberation? Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the board is in recess for deliberation. I call this meeting of the Newberry Township zoning hearing board to order. Do I have a motion?
Grant a special exception, from section 302.2 to be rural occupation, section 525.54 for, Mr. Robert Parker Jr. to be able to park construction vehicles on the property and repair as needed within an enclosed building with the following conditions. All screening must be maintained around the property. No additional exterior lighting than what is already currently installed on the whole building. There be no construction vehicle traffic outside of the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The use will be contained to the 1,000 square foot on the southern end of the whole building for routine maintenance of commercial vehicles. No outside storage and no outdoor parking of construction vehicles or equipment. Except for the personal vehicle of Mr. Robert.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Don't want to forget, you have another docket, 20-08. There's a rescheduling of the hearing from tonight to another date. Jeff, I defer to yours to what that date is, because that's a piece of misunderstanding. So I recommend there be a motion to affirm.
Chairman, you should have a copy of that letter.
Yes. We were to hear docket 20-08, 105 Newberry Investment LLC, CO, Karen, Jellenfor Realty, 416 Bethlehem Pike, Fort Washington, PA. Applicant is seeking variances from section 508, erection of more than one principal use on a lot, section 512.4.B.1, 10 foot, dash 10 foot setback for parking and access drive, section 512.4.B.2, 8 foot side yard setback for parking and access drive, section 209.30 with lot width of 150 feet, section 209.30 maximum lot coverage 60%, section 517.3 center requirements. Application is requesting a variance from the required limit of 6 feet in height to allow a freestanding sign with a height of 18 feet. All requirements of the Newberry Township zoning ordinance. The property is in the regional commercial office zone at 105 Newberry Parkway, Evers, PA, 17319, tax map 35 parcel 0007. This docket will be heard on November the 17th.
That's correct.
Due to the fact that we have we just rescheduled. We're rescheduling. And I have a letter from the applicant that is accepting the fact that we just rescheduled the hearing. Again, that is for November 17th, 2020. That would be at 6 o'clock.
Just need a motion to
Do I have a motion, that we reschedule docket 20-008 to November 17th at 6 o'clock?
I'll make a motion that we schedule November 17th.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
I have a question, just as pertaining to when I'm using stuff to work on my house, like. Construction of your house? So completely different. Alright, so it's not gonna be an issue if I'm using equipment at my house or work in my yard, or truck parked there.
No, sir. This only applies to the operation of your business.
Thank you.
That will be Mr. Lawrence's
Aye. Opposed?